This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along, and I am Amanda, your host of this SmackDown review. First of all, let's talk about some Money in the Bank results. And we had Naomi with the win for the women's match, which I think is actually pretty awesome. Quite looking forward to seeing that. And although Stephanie was my first pick, I did say that a Naomi win would be pretty cool. So I'm going to take that one. The men's match, men's Money in the Bank won by Seth. I think we all knew that would be the case, right? But we did get the Fatu turn on Solo, which is cool. And he even yelled, "I hate you, Solo," up the ladder, which was quite fun. Becky beat Lyra and takes the title. And let's see where that goes. I'm guessing Bayley versus Becky at Evolution. Dom held on to his IC title in a hastily arranged match after Worlds Collide. And in the main event, Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody and Jay, we had the return of R-Truth as a hooded figure, taking out Cena and allowing Cody to pick up the win. And that brings us on to Raw, which it would be wrong of me not to comment on, as it was the best and most exciting Raw we've had in a long old time. We had Cena, we had a killer R-Truth or Ron Killings promo, we had Jay drop his title to Gunther, and a returning Bayley taking out Becky, hopefully setting up the feud between those two. We had Nikki Bella in her hometown, which, to be honest, I couldn't really be asked about until we got Liv come out and set up maybe another match for Evolution, which I'm not super excited about, but it's always good to see Liv in her flow. So before I watch this SmackDown, I've got really high hopes for it. So let's get to it and review the show that aired on Friday the 13th, from Lexington. Never been there. No, it's in Kentucky. No, you have the Kentucky Derby, and that is the sum total of my knowledge, I'm afraid. So first up tonight, we've got Joe Test giving us a look at what's coming up tonight, and it's mostly focused toward King and Queen of the Ring matches with two men's and two women's fatal four-way qualifiers. And then we get traditionally our arrivals. We see Fatu after his turn, and we see Miss Money in the Bank and Naomi. First out tonight, though, bit of a surprise. We've got Mr. Dower himself, John Cena, and let's see what he's got to say after Money in the Bank and the Truth return. He looks happy as ever, as per usual, and he demands his special entrance announcement. He has the mic, and he says wrestling's Mount Rushmore is John Cena, John Cena, John Cena, John Cena. He says, yes, there have been great wrestlers and great talkers, but no one in the past, most importantly the present or the future, is comparable to him. He says the reason he will always outmaneuver them is because he's smarter. He says you will want to be me whether you're watching at home or mesmerised like those watching in the arena. He says that he's always 10 steps ahead and that he announced his retirement early so he could scout his likely opponents. He says that he knew anyone could enter the Rumble, so he did. I mean, I don't know why we bother having qualifying for it in that case then. He knew if he lost the Rumble, he could use his position to get a shot in Elimination Chamber. And he says as a result of that, he knew that Seth and Punk would implode and take each other out. He knew that Cody would be focused on the final boss, so he knew he could seize the moment and shock the world. He then says that he used Cody's obsession with being loved, ran his hometown to his advantage, and he even managed to put R-Truth in the main event. He says he formed an alliance with Logan Paul in order to neutralise him as a threat, and he used Punk Punk's sociopathic nature to back him into a corner and make him admit that he's a hypocrite. He says that he doesn't have to worry about Seth cashing in on him, as he knows that Seth wants Cena to leave with the title, meaning that Seth can win the World Championship and stay in WWE as the only champion. He says he has put all the math in his favour and wins matches before they start. He says in 25 years he's solved it all. He says he doesn't need anyone's appreciation, and they won't realise how good he is until 3 years after he's gone. He says there will be no one worthy to hold the title ever again. That's quite a long old diatribe from Cena, and the only thing I really say about that is that he's got a point. I won't recount exactly what the tweet did say, but several years ago there was a particularly mean tweet that Punk put out about people going over to compete in the Saudi shows, etc., etc. Which is good that they're bringing that into the storyline, because it's always better when there's a little bit of truth there. Anyway, that finally brings out Cody, who makes his way to the ring and tells Cena, "What did you just say? You're so smart, thousands of steps ahead." He says it's unfortunate everything he said has come true. And Mount Rushmore, yes, sure. Cody says, "You forgot to mention that this Saturday I pinned you in the centre of the ring." He says he isn't part of Cena's plan. Cena is part of his. Cody says, "So where does that leave you and I?" We then get Randy out, who we're reminded we haven't seen for 5 weeks, and Randy looks mad as hell. He grabs a mic and says anyone who saw the fight at Backlash knows that Randy had him beat until someone came and saved the day. He says he knows now what he has to do to get number 15, and he will go through anyone, even Cody, who he loves as a brother. Then he'll do that. We then get LA Knight out, who, if you'd have let me guess all day, I probably wouldn't have guessed LA Knight, but get LA Knight out, which is surprising. He says all week the whole world has been chanting for LA Knight. He says as he walks to the ring, he is looking at the WWE establishment, and he is the sore thumb. He says nice master plan to Cena, but he didn't plan for Knight. He says King of the Ring is around the corner and he will win. And then he's going to take the title. At that, Cena bails from the ring, leaving the three guys there, and as he walks up the ramp, he is blindsided and attacked by Truth, leaving Cena lying in the walkway. So, wow, we're off to a great start tonight. What an open to the show. Looks like SmackDown is going to be almost as good or as good as Raw. Loved Cena's promo, his ego and his pure disdain for everyone. Cody, as always, brilliant. Randy returning and telling Cena he had him beat, and then LA Knight, a surprise, yes, but a good one. So I think the angle looks to be that Cena is building up a massive gang of competitors who have a bone to pick with him, and will that be his eventual downfall? Great stuff. Got me thinking about Mount Rushmore's though, and who would be on mine. I think mine's probably a little bit controversial, but I would say, and here's mine, don't hate me for this, Stone Cold. You can't really disagree with that, surely. Chyna, I know it's a bit controversial, but if you look at the work she did as the enforcer for DX back in the day, she was years ahead of her time. And it's a travesty the way she's been cheated by WWE. So Stone Cold, definitely. Chyna, definitely. My third one would be Cactus Jack / Mankind, because just wow, the character work, the wrestling, the complete non-caring about his own safety or future, or sometimes life. What a character, what a guy. And then the fourth spot, I went back and forth about, and do you know what? I think I'm going to leave it blank, because that's my hope for the future, that we haven't seen the best. So maybe I'm going to leave one free, like the blank plinth in Trafalgar Square, if you like, for the future greatness. So that's my Mount Rushmore. Now, I would say let me know yours, but I don't know how on earth you'd do that. Perhaps you could drop it into the mailbag. I'll listen to that. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to have to go back on X at some point. And maybe I can now. Things have changed a little bit. But anyway, that was a little side shoot. So we then get Cena backstage going absolutely mad at Nick Aldis, and Cena, never noticed this before. I don't know if Nick's really tall or if Cena's on the shorter side, but there's definitely a disparity in size. Cena looks short compared to Nick. And we have Knight and Randy in the ring, ready for the first of the night's King of the Ring qualifiers. They're joined by Mello with no Miz, no stupid Andre the Giant necklace. Is that over now? I'm thinking. I kind of hope so. And then lastly out, we've got Aleister Black. And this one kicks off as Mello and Black face off with Randy and Knight biding their time like the wily veterans they are. But soon enough it all kicks off and we have Mello looking for a sneaky roll-up, but he fails. And we've got Black starting off the strongest, brilliantly flying off the top to the outside. We then get Mello showing some offense, doing a good job dispatching Knight and then Black. And Randy's been down somewhere since quite early on in the match. He hasn't featured much, but then of course from nowhere, here comes Randy smashing people against the announce desk. Now, all four men back in the ring briefly as Black takes out Randy. Mello lands a big splash on Knight and the cover is broken up by Black. Black hits massive kicks on all three men, going for a cover on Mello, who kicks in two. Black now looks to be in control, but Randy with a scoop slam to Black, Knight and Mello in quick succession. Sets up for a double draping DDT on Black and Mello, but is stopped by Knight, who hits a net breaker on Randy, and that results in a double DDT for the other two as well. We get Knight looking for his finish, and then Bronson Reed appears, takes him out, and then we get Bron Breakker spearing him from the other side of the ring. Mello looks to take advantage by going off the top, but is intercepted midair by an awesome RKO from Randy, landing right on Knight, and Randy gets the pin on Knight and takes the win. So the end of that match particularly was brilliant. The RKO, as always, looking absolutely fantastic. It was frenetic and fast-paced. Great match to start the show, and a real treat to see those four guys just go for it. I have to say I didn't see the interference coming because I was in the moment, and I really thought Knight was going to pick up the win, especially after his earlier promo, but Randy progresses in the tournament, and for me that's great. Mello minus Miz, try saying that with a mouthful of wine gums, seems to be a thing now. And what about Black? Hopefully some plans for him. As you know, I'm a big Black fan, and I would love to see him with any kind of title at some point. Next for Randy is Sami Zayn. That's a fun match with those two being friends as well. And we get a pre-promo from Fatu, who's up next, and this should be good. Out he comes to a great pop from the crowd, and they seem to love him even more since he did the dirty on Solo. We get a reminder of how Solo exactly signed his death warrant last week, taking the P out of Solo. And then we see what went on at Money in the Bank. The crowd are chanting for Fatu, and he says just because you are family doesn't mean you can go behind their back and snake them. Just because they're from the same bloodline doesn't mean you can take credit for all of their achievements. Solo says Fatu would be nothing without him. He says he showed Solo at Money in the Bank that you have to get in where you fit in, and it's just him now. He's then interrupted by Solo, but on the big screen, I guess he doesn't have the balls to meet Fatu face to face, even with JC in tow. He gives him the slow clap and says, "Tell him how you feel, Fatu." He says, "Are you done getting everything off your chest?" He says, at Money in the Bank, he could have made the biggest mistake of his life. He says that a year ago, he brought him into WWE. He gave him money, success, and the title, and it was all down to Solo. He says next week he will be in the middle of the ring with open arms ready to forgive him if he tells him he loves him. He says, remember, he brought him into this world and he can take him out of it. I think there's no way that's happening. There's absolutely no way that Fatu is going to tell Solo he loves him. I think he's quite happy on his own. So I really think this feud should be off the chart. I can't wait to see these two just rip each other apart. We're now straight backstage to Nick, who is with the Secret Hervis. They tell him that Chelsea needs to speak with him urgently. He says she's not here, and because hasn't she got travel problems, but they have her on FaceTime. She demands that the Queen of the Ring match is postponed till next week. Nick says no way, and basically puts Albert in the match in her place. We then get Zelina, who comes to Nick and says that she needs Julia right now. Nick says she isn't here. Zelina says she's been hit harder by better. I mean, Zelina's been hit by everybody, better and worse, harder and not harder. And that he should be more worried about Julia and what Zelina will do to her next week. Well, we're straight back into the action because we're quite wrestling heavy tonight, which, as a wrestling show, makes me quite happy. And we've got the Fatal 4-Way for the Queen of the Ring. This is Jade versus Piper versus Nia versus Meacham. Joe Test reminds us that Nia is the reigning Queen of the Ring, and I had totally forgot that. But don't worry, we are about to hear it on repeat throughout this whole match. This one's interesting. We've got 3 really strong women in this one, and we've got Meechin, who definitely shouldn't be underestimated given her recent form. She's been pretty hardcore herself. So we start off, we've got Jade in with Meechin. Jade making a strong start and makes a move for a pin, getting a 2 count. Some good moves off Meechin though, who goes for a quick cover herself. Nia and Piper get involved, generally squishing the other women and using their power well. A quick alliance formed between Piper and Nia, who try and gang up on Jade, but to be fair, she fights back really well. We get a moonsault from Meechin, which is beautiful, and takes out all 3 women on the outside. Meechin hits a tornado DDT on Piper and gets a close cover. Jade hits a powerbomb and also gets close cover. Piper and Nia gang up on Jade as they throw her over the announce desk, also taking out Wade. Not sure if that was planned or not, but it looked pretty good. The alliance wears off, shocking, and Nia takes out Piper, lining up Meechin for the Annihilator, which she hits and almost gets the win. But we've got Piper breaking things up in the nick of time. From nowhere, Jade rises from the dead, the announce desk, hits Jaded on Piper, and gets the win. This was a good match. I briefly thought that we were lining up Nia versus Bliss at some point, but not to be. A win for Jade makes sense, I guess. She faces Roxanne Perez next week. We literally haven't heard anything about Nia being Queen in the Ring forever, and tonight Comms kept calling her Queen Nia. I mean, come on, WWE. If it's going to be a thing, it needs to be consistently layered through the year. You can't just make a big deal out of it for the 2 weeks, and then it becomes a thing. You've got to keep it up. We then get Naomi backstage looking really menacing with her Money in the Bank briefcase. She's coming up next. She's in the ring and she says, I see some of you looking really surprised, shocked and stupid. She doesn't know why. She says she said she would do it. She took what she deserves and now she's missed Money in the Bank. She says the whole time she was trying to beat Nia Jax, the person that was standing in her way was Tiffany Stratton. And nice Naomi let it happen, but not this Naomi. She says she's going to hit Tiffy in the head with the briefcase and win the title. And that brings out Tiffy, who says, you talk a big game. She says, why don't you just do it? Do it right now. She says, you haven't changed. You're the same old Naomi, all talk, no action. She says, please prove us all wrong. So she's clearly trying to get a rise out of Naomi, but Naomi's wise to it. She says, do I look stupid to you? I'm going to cash in when you least expect it. And also, she kills the what chance, which is awesome. She says she's going to enjoy making her life hell, and she says, tick-tock, Tiffy, your time is nearly over. This is brilliant stuff. The briefcase suits Naomi's new persona perfectly, and this is going to be awesome. Just as we are wrapping up, Nia tries to blindside Tiffy, but Tiffy spots her coming. Naomi tries to get in on it, but gets knocked out by Tiffy. Off the distraction, Nia manages to hit the Annihilator on Tiffy. Naomi seems to think about the cash-in, but is warned off by Nia. I'm not super thrilled about having Nia still in the title picture, but having Naomi with the briefcase makes it all okay for me at the moment. Next, we go backstage where Nick has all the tag teams with him. He says he wants to talk about the Wyatt situation. We get DIY desperately trying to palm it off on literally any of the other teams. And Nick says he's decided that the Motor City Machine Guns will get the shot at the Wyatts tonight, as they are the veterans. That seems like a pretty dubious honour to me, but that match is coming up now. I've got to say, I absolutely love the Wyatt's entrance. Just sends shivers down his spine. It's just absolutely brilliant. We kick off as the Wyatt team take the early lead. Dexter Lumis on absolute fire, tagging in Joe Gacy. These guys are very impressive. We've got Saban, though, making a best of a comeback as he gets the tag, and the Motor City Machine Guns with some of their awesome double team moves. And I really like the way the rest of the Wyatt Six are positioned in the walkway, which is really menacing. It's like if you stray too far out of the ring, they're going to get you. And also it cuts off that angle for interference as well, which has been a big problem in this tag team division. So that's a really nice touch. This was a good match, but this one wraps up as Dexter Lumis hits an absolutely massive leg drop from the top, which felt like it nearly hit the top of the arena. Gets the pin for the Wyatts, and they look like they're being built to be a bit Undertaker-esque. In his prime, though, not sad old Taker, who couldn't go, but in his prime Taker. I wonder if the plan is for them to go through the whole division, finishing up with the Profits and take the titles. That would be really cool. We now have Cena backstage. He bumps into Jimmy and asks him if he's seen Truth or Ron Killings. Jimmy says no. He says, tell him I'm on my way to the ring right now and tell him to meet me there. And now we have Cena in the ring again. He cuts his music and tells the crowd to shut their stupid mouths. He says there is a level of disrespect that he can tolerate, but tells Truth he just crossed all the lines. He calls Truth out for a fight, but instead he gets Punk, who heads out and grabs a mic, and this should be off the chart. He says to Cena, you're tired of being disrespected. He says these people are being tired of being disrespected. He says CM Punk has got a microphone and the disrespect hasn't even begun yet. He says for old time's sake, he's going to give Cena a chance to stop what he's doing and let the crowd have their happy ending, and he makes several Star Wars references. Cena says why would he waste his time? He says these people don't matter, this place doesn't matter, the only thing that matters is the title. Punk says to let the record show that he tried to keep it nice. He says it's about to get real. He says he is pissed off that Cena called him a hypocrite, and here's the truth, you can't beat me. When he's at his best, he never could. Punk says he will stop Cena ruining wrestling, and he says that he sees his confidence as a strength. He says Cena looks like a toddler who's just struck out a T-ball, which I thought was completely hilarious, and he really, now you can't unsee it. He says Cena is copying what Punk did, and Punk says that he is here to make the farewell tour palatable. He says he will follow him to hell if he has to. And then he says they're both goats, but at Night of Champions he will spit roast him. I'm not sure what that means in the US, but in the UK that has quite the meaning. And I'm pretty sure that's not what CM Punk wanted to do. But anyway, he calls him a joke and says he sees through him and that he always has, and that's the truth. So I don't know if this is true, but it does feel like there is real beef between these two, which is brilliant. As always, Punk is great on the mic and completely eviscerates Cena, who has no reply to him and just skulks away. And then again, from behind, Truth attacks Cena, getting him in the STFU. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if for the rest of Cena's farewell tour, Truth just literally stalks him around the world and attacks him. just time and time again. They don't have a match. It's just literally just Truth attacking Cena from every angle. It would just be hilarious. Backstage, Byron has Bliss with him, and he asks what her mindset is. She says tonight she reminds everyone who she is and becomes Queen of the Ring. She's interrupted by Charlotte, who says there is only one queen in this division. And she heads out for this fatal four-way qualifying match. And this one is Bliss, Flair, Candice LeRae, and should have been Chelsea Green, but Alba Fire. And the beef between Bliss and Flair carries on as Flair's having her entrance music, and before she can get halfway down the walkway, Bliss's music cuts her off, and she saunters to the ring past her, which I thought was just a brilliant touch. Before the match, we go to Truth backstage with Nick. Truth asks for a match with Cena next week, and Nick agrees to it, so that quickly scuppers my theory, although I still think it should happen. It would be hilarious. We kick off this match with Bliss and Flair facing off, so Alba and Candice take advantage and get the early start, but Flair quickly turning things around. Wade says on comms that by far and away Flair is the least popular member of the women's locker room, and he goes on to list all of her recent losses. I thought that was a bit weird. I mean, it's probably true if what you read and watch is to be believed, but to say it on comms just out there seems a bit weird. Fire and LeRae with an alliance teaming up against Flair. They then break up Sister Abigail from Bliss. Bliss on Fire taking out the whole field, but Candice hits a code breaker on Flair. Bliss hits Twisted Bliss on Fire and gets a 2 count, broken up by Flair to huge boos. It's very clear who the crowd want to win here. Flair has on the figure 8 to Fire, but then to the side of them, Bliss hits Sister Abigail on Candice, gets the cover and the win, with Fire tapping milliseconds after the pin. So Alexa is through, and that's awesome. This match was decent with a good finish, something new and interesting, which we haven't seen for a while. We now have Cody backstage. He bumps into Punk and says we can't run away from each other forever. Punk says that's true, but not tonight. They shake hands. Now that would be cool. Those guys obviously have a history. Both good on the mic, both good in the ring. Yes, please. Next up, we have the final men's qualifying match of the night, and that's Cody versus Andrade versus Shinsuke versus Priest. And this one starts off with Andrade looking great, but he is soon put down by Priest, who then faces off with Cody. We get Andrade hitting a moonsault off the ring post to the outside and takes out everyone. And then we get the awful Slim Jim table out. So I guess someone is going through that. And after some back and forth, and will they, won't they, it's Cody who gets put through the table. And Joe Tess calls it a Slim Jim table snap, which is awful. I hate it. Not the spot, the phrase. A Slim Jim table snap. I mean, honestly, have a word with yourself, WWE. What on earth are you doing? I can't even. All four men now back in. And it's Cody who's clearing everyone out. Shinsuke counters the Cody cutter and hits the Kinshasa. We get Andrade breaking up that cover. And this one moves to its finish with Cody hitting Cody Cutter on Priest and Crossroads on Andrade, and Shinsuke getting the pin on Shin to progress to the next round. Exciting match and a pretty worthy main event. Loving what they're doing with Andrade. He is looking awesome at the moment. Shinsuke eating another loss. What is going on with him? But I guess predictably, question mark, we've now got Cody through to King of the Ring, the next round. So my guess would be that we're going to get Cody victorious at Night of Champions, setting him on a crash course with Cena, I'm guessing. I think Cena's right. I don't think Seth is going to cash in on Cena. I think it'll be on whoever has the other title at the time Seth wants to cash in. I'm not sure Gunther will hold the title long term. I'm not completely sure about that. But that seems to be where we're moving. And I have to say, on the other side, I'm so pleased to see Bliss through. I would love to see her get another run at the title. So I thought this was a great show tonight. Maybe not quite as good as Raw, but not far off. Really enjoyable. Some brilliant matches. Plenty of wrestling tonight, which is the reason we all watch after all. And great development of storylines, both new and existing. So yeah, double thumbs up from me. Anyway, guys, that just about does it for this week's show. Thanks for having me in your ears once again. And remember, until next time, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.